It's time for an early episode of Boy Green Daily. The wide receivers, sex appeal. The Jets need one, maybe two. We'll talk about it with a special draft analyst. Boy Green Daily starts now.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily. This is a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. Now, normally, it's every day at 7:30, but on Mondays, for the last bunch of weeks and the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing an early episode at 7 o'clock, 30 minutes earlier to accommodate our wonderful guest, our NFL draft analyst extraordinaire. You can follow him on social media at Iron City Film. He is the one and only, unmistakable Drew Beatty. Drew?
What's up, Paul? How we doing?
Hey, I'm doing excellent, man. The wide receiver episode has a lot of sex appeal, and the Jets completely ignored the wide receiver position in free agency, trade, everything. So to this point, this is perhaps the most glaring need for the New York Jets, outside of some obvious things, I suppose, with whatever they could do with the number 2 overall pick. But outside of that, this seems like the most obvious thing here at wide receiver. So, Drew, no pressure, but we need you to find the next Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'll do my best. The receiver episode is always for sure my favorite whenever we do these positional ones because I mentioned it to you backstage before we started everything up. Receiver feels like kind of, if I had to pick a position, it's kind of my favorite to scout, or at least the one that I like. If I had to just pick one position to scout forever, it'd probably be receiver. Mm-hmm. So that's my favorite one every year. I'm excited to dig it. This is a really fun, deep receiver class. A lot of guys that I'm really excited about, excited to talk about. So yeah, I'm excited to dive into this one.
Drew, real quick, just a quick side piece question on that. Why do you feel like that's the most confident you feel? Because, again, obviously in the draft, you have to scout everything from punters to offensive tackles to wide receivers and everything in between. Why do you feel so confident with what you look at on wide receivers and how you evaluate it, strength, weaknesses, and that translating to the next level?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's, when you evaluate any position, all of draft evaluation is really just about evaluating a set of traits and deciding what traits matter the most and what traits are going to project to the next level the most. And that's all about figuring out your process. What traits do you care about? What are you going to weight the heaviest? What are you really looking for? And I feel like I still switch a lot of that up, being still relatively new to the whole draft space. I switch a lot of that up all the time when it comes to certain positions, and there's still positions that I have a lot left to learn about, and I have a lot left to learn about receiver too. But I feel probably the most confident behind my process when it comes to receivers. Mm-hmm. And I feel the most confident probably of anything that the set of traits that I look for is what I should be looking for in receivers, if that makes any sense. I just feel confident in my evaluation process with the receiver more than most positions.
I feel confident in my ability to do this show when people are raining memberships from the high heavens. That's how I freaking feel. Mother effing chew, baby. That membership went to Cap10 Condor. You're now a member to the Boy Green Coffee Club and MFC. You've reached double-digit raffle tickets so far this month. It is 10 raffle tickets. I'll update that leaderboard here in just a second. I want to start off here, Drew. I know we have a limited amount of time with you, like on every episode, so I don't want to waste any time, but I just want to reestablish this because a few people have asked me this on Twitter, and you're the draft analyst. I'm just some guy yelling into the microphone and pressing random buttons. So this is a question more so suited for you, I suppose, in all of this. Jet fans continue to ask me, okay, wide receivers you need, Paul, right? Yes. Okay. Why don't they take it with the number 2 overall pick? And I go, I'll ask my draft analyst that question. That's the question. The Jets have the number 2 overall pick. Wide receivers is a screaming need. Why not just take, instead of waiting to 16 and getting dangerous, and we're going to go through all the names that could fall or slide or anything, or they maybe could move up, F all that. You just get your wide receiver, whoever the hell you want at number 2. Why not do that if you're the Jets?
So, I mean, there's a couple of factors that go into it. Probably most of all is, you constantly hear analysts everywhere, NFL front offices always preaching the whole best player available over need, right? No front office wants to reach for need. Right. And I have, I could go for 3 hours just on that thought alone. I could write a thesis on that. But short story, that's kind of the general consensus, is that best player available is what the good front offices do, is you draft best player on the board, you don't reach for need. And then even when considering need, the Jets, you also have to look at the fact that they have a glaring hole at edge. Mm-hmm. And when you evaluate the top of this draft class, general opinion, my own opinion removed, is that edge rushers, there are 2 to 3, depending on how you look at them. Mm-hmm. 2 to 3 of the best players in this entire draft class are edge rushers. And we've said for at least a month now that the Jets pick has seemed to be between David Bailey and Arvell Reese for a while, and that's because those are generally considered 2 of the best players in this class, and they're both edge rushers. If it were up to me, I have 0 issues taking Carnell Tate at second overall. Again, general opinion is that Carnell Tate is not that level of prospect. I think that he is in this draft class. I would have 0 issues if the Jets took him second overall. But I don't expect that to be a realistic option. The NFL clearly does not view him that high. I personally do, but I would have no issues with it. I don't see David Bailey that high. Again, I'll continue to preach that, but he is generally considered there. So I think when you blend both the Jets' biggest positional need along with what is considered the strongest position, like who the strongest players are at the top of this class, they tend to be edge rushers. So I think it's just kind of a perfect storm for the Jets to be poised to take an edge rusher at 2 in this class. But again, I would have no issues with Tate at second overall.
I love that you said that because, I've had Trevor Sikkema on the show several times, and he is a massive fan of Ruben Bain. Like, he has him higher than anybody in the draft universe. And we did a show, and I asked him sort of this kind of question. He's like, this is what I would do, but, this. He says, I understand where the consensus is and where my evaluation is. And those two things can sort of coexist in parallel universes where I talk about it, but like I know or figure that for whatever reason, arm length or whatever the case may be for a different guy. But anywho, that's fascinating. It's a fascinating part of the conversation. So we were going to go in a certain order, but if you guys have super chat questions about wide receivers, I'll sort of work that into the mix. So this is a guy I did want to talk about. So let's get to him. NC Green with a $2 super chat. Wow. If Chris Bell, the Louisville wide receiver, wasn't hurt, where would he rate in this draft, Drew Beatty?
That's another interesting one because, it's pretty undeniable that Chris Bell pre-ACL tear was firmly on the first round track. And he would have been a lock for the first round had he been healthy going into this process. And now, unfortunately, the ACL tear, it's going to keep him out till at least training camp, if not further than that. He's going to miss probably the first quarter-ish of the season. So that's going to massively hurt your draft stock. It just always is, unfortunately. But I'm still, even with the ACL tear, Chris Bell is my receiver 7 in this class. Which I know sounds kind of low, but when you get into how talented this receiver class is, like he's in my top 40 overall on a big board. So even sounding low at receiver 7, he's still very high on my overall board because, again, I'm just high on this receiver class in general. Chris Bell, he's really fun. He's probably the most explosive receiver in this class, or one of, maybe not the most, there's a guy we'll talk about later that might top him there, but one of the most explosive, huge frame, 225, 230 pounds, whatever he came in at, 6'1". The most, people throw like Xavier Legette, AJ Brown, that kind of big, physical, athletic, boundary type receiver. He fits that prototypical X frame, really knows how to play basketball at the catch point. You'll hear me say that a lot with these, big frame guys. That's what you look for. These guys, can they use their size to really box guys out at the catch point? He does a good job of that. I wish he was a little bit, if he was more fluid in the hips. Stiffness is a thing that really gives me pause as an evaluator in pretty much every position, but especially receiver, because fluidity is one of the most important aspects to me of receiver evaluation. If he was a little bit more fluid, he would be a first-round prospect even with the ACL tear for me, because I think he's that good at everything else. That's the only thing holding him back for me. But like I said, he's still firmly a top 40, top 50 guy on my board, still receiver 7 for me, even with the ACL. But yeah, he would have been comfortably a top 20, top 25-ish pick if the ACL had not happened.
There you go. Thank you for the question, NC Green. Again, if you guys have other wide receiver questions, you can try to super chat those in, and I'll try to weave it in my very talented way in between all the conversation. As we're starting this, can you tell me the tiers of wide receiver? So we're going to go through some guys here. We could just go through sort of the first chunk. Do you have like one receiver clearly above the rest, or 3 or 4 sort of bottled in the same area, and then there's a gap, and then there's another tier, and then there's a gap, there's another tier? Like sort of, can you walk us through that process, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what we're considering a gap. So, I mean, I have like the way my grading scale works is I have a first overall grade, but nobody, Drake May's the only prospect that's ever gotten that from me. So that's not something I give out very often.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then I have blue chip grades, which you hear thrown around a lot. Those are my like top 5, future all pro prospects. And then it goes top 10, and then it just goes, mid to late first round.
Oh, I understand. Okay.
So I have one top 10 grade at receiver in this class, and that's Carnell Tate. And then it goes straight to mid first, and then I have a couple of late first. So if you consider that a gap, Carnell Tate's pretty considerably above everybody else to me. And then I have Tennessee's Chris Brazzell and Mai Lemon from USC, both in the mid first round bracket. And then you get into, later in the first round, and I have Casey Concepcion, Texas A&M, is in there too. He's in that mid to late first bracket. And then there's a little bit of a gap, and you get more into like the early second round, and that's where I have like Georgia State's Ted Hurst, and I have Jordan Tyson from Arizona State, who is a big name, I'm sure, in the Jets world. And I mocked him there recently, the last week even.
Yes.
And then you get more into the day 2 buckets. So if you want to consider, there are small gaps where you get one guy here, and then a cluster here, and then a cluster here. But I don't think there's like a drastic drop off necessarily in this class because it's so deep and so talented. I don't think that you ever see like a cliff, anywhere. But there are definitely small gaps.
All right. So you said if you were running the operation, you would strongly consider and maybe even do it. Take Ohio State wide receiver Carnell Tate with the 2nd overall pick. You clearly have him as your top receiver in this class. Why do you have him so?
Yeah, Carnell Tate is the guy. I mean, obviously everybody, you just think Ohio State receiver. Those guys are always good, right? But it's always
Sure.
scout the player, not the helmet.
Yeah.
But Carnell Tate, he is one of the most improved players from year to year that I've watched in a long time. And it's something that matters a lot to me is watching how the guys develop and vice versa. Also, if you see guys regress from year to year, that's really going to hurt them on my grading scale. But Carnell Tate, I mean, he went from good, solid day 2 prospect last year to like firmly top 10 caliber receiver prospect this year. He is obviously got a big 6'2", 6'3", 200-pound frame.
Mm-hmm.
Not, we saw the 4.54 40 time that people think that'll hurt him, but he was never necessarily this like twitchy burner guy, but he's always had the long speed. He's just a long strider. Like his legs eat up ground so fast. And he is just somebody that always is a vertical threat. He's always going to stretch the defense. You saw him take the top off of Big Ten defenses all year. He is such an advanced separator. Like I said, where he is from 2024 to 2025 as a separator is incredible. The development and just clearly a testament to the staff they have at Ohio State, as well as how coachable Carnell Tate clearly is. But he's such a nuanced, advanced separator. You see him really work DBs. And my favorite thing, again, about watching receivers is how the smart guys really set up their breaks. Like how you can see them manipulate defensive backs and how they run a certain route to set up a break. And I think Carnell Tate does that at a really high rate. He's really, really smart. He's one of, if not the best receiver at the catch point in this class. I don't have the contested catch percentage numbers off the top of my head, but I think they were near 100% this year. He dominated everybody at the catch point, constantly fighting through double teams. Again, using the frame to really box guys out. Really strong hands. And the body control is incredible at his size too. He's just super graceful. So I don't see a lot of weaknesses in Carnell Tate outside of he's not going to give you a ton after the catch, but I don't think there's a lot of guys that will in this draft class. That's just kind of a general weakness of this class. So outside of just not giving you a huge yak skill set, I don't necessarily see a lot of drawbacks to Carnell Tate as a prospect. And I think he would have been my wide receiver 1 last year in last year's class. So I'm a huge fan of his. I think that he should be strongly in consideration for all of these teams in the top 3, top 5. And I'm kind of surprised that consensus seems to be lower on him than that. And you'll hear also, not to cut you off, but you'll hear the biggest knock on him is he's never been a receiver 1. The other guys in this, he's playing next to Jeremiah Smith. All right, that's the best. That guy's the best receiver prospect we've had in a decade plus. Probably since Megatron. So I think we shouldn't be knocking Cardinal Tate for being a receiver 2 next to Jeremiah Smith while giving Jordan Tyson or whoever props for being a wide receiver 1 next to a water boy for all intents and purposes. So I think that we just need to slow our roll with that criticism a little bit. We're being a little bit disingenuous there.
Thank you for addressing that, because I know we talked about it way early in the cycle when we first had you on. That sort of theme came up, but we hadn't addressed it in a while. And I'm like, am I going to bring that up again? So I'm glad you did, because again, that fair or unfair, which I can tell how you feel about that. People have brought that up. So
I've had that debate enough times to be a little bit short about it.
Yeah, which is fine. You brought up, I don't know if you're going to hate or love this, but you brought up the theme of this. So, I wouldn't be a fair host if I didn't press that button. And it was this. You mentioned, those Ohio State guys are pretty good. The question on everyone's mind is, as a fan, I have to ask it. Well, where does he rank among these Ohio State guys? Because, from Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison, you can, and depending how deep you're going to go, we could get through a whole host of guys and go back even for Michael Thomas. We could start going through deeper guys, but we're in the relatively modern age here, the last 10, 15 years, where does Cardinal Tate, how does he compare to his Ohio State brethren? This is wide receiver U, for God's sakes.
Yeah, and again, I think it's important when I say that I have Cardinal Tate over where I had Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think it's important to remember we're talking about these guys as prospects, where they were coming out.
Right, not what they are now.
22 teams passed on him in the first round or whatever it was. So he missed his entire last season at Ohio State. People have to remember that. There were a lot of question marks with JSN coming out. So, is he potentially the best receiver in the whole NFL right now? Yes, but we got to remember, where was he coming out of Ohio State? So I would have put him above JSN. Probably I would not. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a tier above him. I had him as a blue chip guy. And, that hasn't come to fruition quite yet, but I still think there's a lot of untapped talent there. I probably slightly behind Garrett Wilson. But I would have had him firmly in the same range as the Chris Olave's, close to Garrett Wilson. I think I would have had Wilson slightly above him, but he would have been in the same tier for me probably. So above the JSNs, above the Chris Olave's, slightly below Garrett Wilson, and then a pretty clear tier below Marvin Harrison Jr.
All right, let's get into Cardinal Tate love, baby. We'll see it. I see some fans are like, ooh, Cardinal Tate at 2, and others are like, God, no Cardinal Tate at 2. So the debates continue, perhaps. A polarizing guy here. There's actually a few on this list that may fit in that category. Mai Lemon. So I've heard the slot only stuff with him, which could, if you agree or disagree with that. I think I heard the same thing about Justin Jefferson coming out. Someone said, I think I remember that people saying he was slot only. So I guess let me start there on that realm, because I've been wanting to ask some of this. It popped up in my head when I was watching another draft show, but it wasn't a draft show I was on, so I couldn't jump on and ask the question. So I just sent it to myself and said, hey, I'll ask Drew Beatty the next time I see him. On Justin Jefferson, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I could totally be misremembering it. When Justin Jefferson came out of LSU, I heard a lot of people say, I thought, that he was a slot-only guy. And when you're a slot-only guy, that hurts you because, manufacturer touches and all this other stuff, and the offensive coordinator has to think where to put you, as opposed to if you could play anywhere, you could play anywhere. Obviously, if that was the narrative that I remember, and it was wrong, because Justin Jefferson has been a superstar and he's played all over the place, it appears. How do you get that wrong? How do you watch him in college, or maybe just see him in college play a role and say, oh, that's all he can do, and then be Mai Lemon, Justin Jefferson, that's a big gap here. But just to the criticism, I've heard that Mai Lemon slot only guy. I heard that same narrative I thought about Justin Jefferson coming out of LSU.
Yeah, this is more of an overarching kind of thought about draft analysis as a whole, but I think a lot of people get too caught up in draft analysis as looking, what do these guys do versus other college players? We're judging the results rather than the process. And when you're evaluating a player, you have to look at a set of traits and how well is this set of traits going to translate to the next level? How well a guy, David Bailey, again, I keep coming back to this, but it's another great example where did David Bailey kick a bunch of Big 12 offensive tackles' ass? Yes, he did. But you have to look, will his set of traits truly translate, and his ways to win translate to the next level? Not just, hey, did he beat college offensive tackles? when you look at in the slot, there are a set of traits that play on the outside, and there's a set of traits or a lack of traits that would kick you to the slot. At least that's how I view it. And that varies from evaluator to evaluator, what they do and don't view as a slot receiver. But to me, it is if you have a lack of vertical speed, like if you can't truly threaten guys over the top, or if you can't get off the line of scrimmage, if you can't beat press coverage, those are the two things that make you a slot receiver to me. And Justin Jefferson he played only slot in college at LSU.
Okay.
LSU used him purely as a slot. So you're right about that coming out. That was a big question, is can he play on the outside? But if you looked at Justin Jefferson, there were no traits, or there were no lack of traits that made him a slot to me. Like, he was a guy that had the full skill set. He can play on the outside. So there was no reason to look at him as a slot only, even if LSU used him that way. But then you look at Mai Lemon, and I don't think he has any issues beating press. So that's one box you can check. But I think he does. He just got a really clear lack of extra gear. And I don't think you pair that with the size issues. That's going to be a concern as well too. But I just don't think Mai Lemon has the extra gear to threaten NFL DBs vertically. And I think that will probably end up pushing him to the slot at the NFL level to me. Now, I don't think he's a slot only guy. If you wanted to use him on the boundary, like as a Z, you probably could. I don't think that's something he can't do. But I think his best football is probably in the slot at the next level.
How much stock do you put into the extracurricular bullshit, excuse my Guatemalan, that happened from the end of the season till now? Because Mai Lemon, people felt however they felt about him at the end of his collegiate career. During the combine, there's been a lot of heavy whispers that there was some bizarre ass stuff happening in these interviews. And, if you're Mai Lemon, you can't combat all that. You can't just make like he couldn't put out a statement, say, yeah, every interview I did was awesome. So this is all bullshit. There's nothing you can do if you're Mai Lemon. You just sort of have to if that's a narrative that's out there, then it is what it is. You can't, that's almost like you're on a boat with a bunch of holes in the middle of the ocean. You can't plug all those dikes. It is what it is. If people are going to say that, people are going to say that. But like, how much stock do you put into that? Because it seems like a lot of at least front-facing draft people seem to be putting a ton of stock into that, going, yikes, that is a massive red flag, massive red flag, massive red flag.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like every year we leave the combine with at least one of these where there is, this guy has, the worst character concerns we've ever seen. He bombed the interview process. He's not going to go in the first round anymore. And, is there some truth that some front offices might have taken him off their board for an interview process? Sure. That's what the interview process is for. They say, hey, this guy is not going to gel for our culture fit in the locker room, in our building. He's off the board. And, for another team, they might say, okay, we had no problems with him. He just confirmed what we already knew about him. So all of March, and especially the first 2 weeks of April, the end of March and the first 2 weeks of April, or first 3 weeks, I guess, is all smoke and mirrors in the public view of draft media. It is the most volatile part of the draft news cycle, and fans have really got to keep an eye out, because the entire thing is NFL and front offices. It's politics. They're using media they're using their connections in the media to push the narratives that they want to push the draft in the way that they want, and to fall in a way that works for them. So if there is some team in the teens that really wants to push the narrative that Mai Lemon is a head case, and you can't draft him in the first round, he's got horrible character concerns, it's probably because they want him to fall to 18 or 19 or wherever they are. It's not a real team. I'm just using an example.
Right.
But every year you hear that. I'm not saying it's not real. Like I said, some teams probably did feel that way about him coming out. But I think that a lot of it is also it's narratives being pushed by NFL teams that have connections in the media. You can't always put all of your stock into it. So I don't expect him to fall dramatically. Is he going to be a top 10 pick? Probably not. I don't think so. But I still think he'll go firmly within the first round.
All right. Before I move on, is there anything else you want to get off your chest about Mai Lemon, or are we good to go to a different receiver?
Not necessarily. I think people have a pretty good view on him. I just think he's a good separator, plays a lot bigger than he is at the catch point. But yeah, the size limitations and the athletic limitations are enough to worry me a little bit on him. But yeah, I probably do think he's a slot only. I know we already touched on that, but that's just kind of Mai Lemon in a nutshell. So,
all right, there you go, Mai Lemon. Some bulletin board material when you're the next Justin Jefferson at the next level. Drew Beatty on Boy Green Daily called you slot only, pal. So use that. Use the hate. Yeah, embrace it. Jordan Tyson, you mocked him last week to the New York Jets with the 16th overall pick. That's a popular mock draft selection. People love seeing wide receiver. But there's been a concerning, this is the overall durability concerns were concerning. But I saw this from Dane Brugler. This was on I believe, the Athletic Football Show. And here was Jeff Mueller was the one who shared out this clip. And he talked about it's been 3 months when this was posted a few days ago. It's been 3 months and 21 days since Jordan Tyson last played a game. According to Dane Brugler, he won't participate at his pro day. Also sounds like his hamstring may have flared up during his training. That is quite, and this is Jeff Mueller, this doctor on Twitter, says this is quite some time for a grade 2 strain to heal. If you are a Jordan Tyson supporter and there's already been the massive concerns about durability, and we're already getting these apparent red flags during this process, which may be true or may not be true, yikes. That sounds very, very scary for a guy that apparently has never completed a college football season due to health.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been, even from back in the summer, I was never like a diehard like Jordan Tyson fan. I never loved the tape. I thought he was a good receiver. I've had him in the first round conversation from the beginning, but I was never this like. It baffles me. The narrative has been the whole time that Jordan Tyson is the only receiver in this whole class with superstar wide receiver 1 potential, and I never really saw where that was coming from. I thought he was good. He's clearly a natural separator. The body control is awesome. But again, he's another guy that just really lacks that extra top gear, to me. And I think you kind of need that to an extent to be, not always. There are guys that clearly CeeDee Lamb ran a 4.5 and all these guys, you don't need to be an elite burner to succeed. But I thought that you do need short area quickness. And I thought that Jordan Tyson kind of lacked that a little bit. But again, clearly a natural separator. The body control is fun. He's pretty solid at the catch point, strong hands. But yeah, I was never in love with the tape. And then you just saw the medicals get worse and worse and worse. And throughout the entire process, you've just seen, more concerning benchmark with it. So yeah, he's never, he's had a season-ending injury at some point throughout every season in his collegiate career. Then you saw him coming in, and he supposedly left the combine with a clean medical report. And then you have Dane Brugler release this past week, where he has supposedly had the hamstring that bothered him for 2 of his collegiate years. I believe it was 2. Now flare up again, and he's not going to have a pro day. And at this point, it would not surprise me in the slightest if Tyson falls out of the first round, because teams. That
was going to be my next question. I was going to ask you, is he still a first-round wide receiver at this point?
Now, could he still go in the first round? Absolutely. I mean, there are still plenty of teams that have him as wide receiver 1.
But you could see him falling out of the first round.
Absolutely, comfortably. I mean, if he was there, now I expect the Jets to address receiver unless there's some dramatic fall. They take somebody else at 16. I would expect them to go receiver in the first round. But I mean, there's a chance that if they don't, Tyson could firmly be on the board at their top of the second round pick.
And would you take him at that spot?
See that I don't know. I think I have bumped him all the way down to a mid second on my board from these. And again, I had him as a late first, early second already with the tape grade, so that's even only a slight bump with these medicals. But teams are going to do their own independent medical evaluations on this guy. So if the Jets do that and they feel comfortable about it, then they'll take the shot. But teams have gotten increasingly gun shy on these medical red flags like this, and Tyson is a beacon, just flashing all the times, like just siren going on and off, because the medical red flags, I mean, they're awful, and I don't see how you can feel comfortable taking a top 50 shot, especially in a receiver class that's this talented, on a guy that has this level of medical concerns. And if he was some guy that had blue chip receiver tape, and you just could not pass on that chance, I would understand. But with him, only, to me, he's a fringe first round guy tape wise. So to me, I just don't think that, especially with as crucial of a spot as the Jets are in, I wouldn't take that risk personally. But I'm not saying they won't. Like I said, they'll conduct their own personal evaluations, but the medicals are extremely concerning.
Is this the type of guy? Because, if you're ever watching the draft, I'll use ESPN as an example. Mel Kiper's best available is always scrolling on the board. That we're in day 2. And it's like Jordan Tyson, and then there's this massive gap. Like I don't have Mel Kiper's big board memorized. 10, 15, wherever the hell Jordan Tyson is, and that he's listed on this best available on the scrolling ticker on ESPN 10, 15, and then the next guy's like at 50, and that's just happening throughout the day, and then we're like the conversation is, oh my God, who's going to stop the Jordan Tyson fall? Do you think that could happen on day 2 of the draft?
Yeah, I mean that seems like a, I don't know if I'd say likely quite yet, but I don't feel like it's unlikely either.
Okay.
With him being a potential slide candidate like that, and I don't know that you see him fall into like the 50s or maybe even the 40s. I think somebody still takes that shot early-ish second round, but I don't know. I think it's firmly within the realm of possibility that he falls out of the first round. So
All right. Yeah, well, this is a wide receiver episode, but I like this question because I've heard other people ask me as well. And again, you're the draft analyst here, Drew Biddy. You're the handsome draft analyst at Iron City Film, baby. That's where you can follow him on friggin' Twitter. Also, he has his big board that's out that you can see on his social media as well. So it's viewable, and you can yell at him about that too. Feel free. Let's get a super chat in here. This one's from NC Green.
Wow.
I've heard sort of this conversation with Jet fans potentially pick 16 if things break a certain way. So here's a $2 super chat from NC Green for our audio-only listeners. Where does Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end, where does he become a better value, Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end, than a wide receiver? So if you're at 16 and you're the Jets and you want a playmaker and you're weighing Kenyon Sadiq versus maybe it's Jordan Tyson or Mai Lemon, or maybe some of those guys aren't on the board. It's Kenyon Sadiq, and you're like, oh, or do I take a linebacker? Or do I take a this? Or do I take a this? How do you sort of weigh that? Specifically, I guess let's keep it tight end versus wide receiver in that conversation. When does he become a better value when you stack those against wide receivers?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a really hard one to answer because they're incredibly different positions. And well, I don't know if I'd say incredibly. They are different positions, and they bring such different value. And Sadiq, it's a very similar conversation to what I said about Chris Bell early on in the episode or in this show so far, where I think he's got he's awesome at the catch point, really, really athletic for a tight end, as we saw. He ran, I think he broke the 40 record for tight ends, or I don't think he broke Vernon Davis's, but he was close, if not, he was right around.
Yeah, Vernon's may have been. There's been some debate about whether it was his pro day number or combine number. So there's some fudging, but either way, he either broke it
he was
or
like top 1%. So
100%, exactly right.
And I think you really see that on tape. He's not a guy that gets going that fast. Like, he needs some space to get rolling on tape. But when he does, I mean, you'll see him just fly past safeties. Like, when he gets to top speed, he's just a freight train. So you see that. But again, the one thing that worries me in his receiving skill set is the hip stiffness. I think that just like Chris Bell, if he was a little bit more fluid, he'd be a firm first round guy for me. And he is still a firm first guy in this class. I mean, by grade. But he just, you see him sink into breaks, and there's a lot of wasted movement. It takes him a long time to decelerate. That's when you watch these guys, so much of separation is how fast can you get from 0 to 60, and then how fast can you get from 60 to 0. And I think Sadiq is a guy that takes a long time to get both. It takes him a while to get rolling up to 60, and it takes him a while to get back down to 0. So the fluidity concerns me a little bit. But I mean, the rest of the skill set is really fun. He's awesome after the catch. He is, like I said, when he gets to top speed, he's a really, really fun athlete, fun at the catch point. Even as a blocker, that's not really the conversation we're talking about as a receiver right now. But he's getting undersold as a blocker, I think some. He's a guy that I have no issues if you want to plug him in line. I'd like for him to be a little bit bigger. I think he'd, again, be a firm first-round guy if he was like 10-ish pounds heavier. He could still be the level of receiver that he is. But overall, I just, I know we're looking at them as weapons, but you also have to evaluate what the Jets have invested in a tight end recently. And you have Jeremy Ruckert, you have Mason Taylor from last year. I think when you've invested top, borderline top 50 capital, I think wasn't it on Taylor? He was still relatively high last year. And I just think you've got to address receiver first. You have a baseline at your tight end spot. I think I'd rather pursue receiver than I would Kenyon Sadiq. I don't think he's the level of pass catching weapon where I forego receiver and draft him instead. But again, I still think he's a firm first round guy in this class, but he's probably not somebody that I would pick over a receiver at 16 if I was the Jets.
Fair enough. Let's get another super chat in here. All right, we're going a little deeper in the bag here. All right, here we go.
Wow.
Johnny Boy with the $2 super chat here. Let me make sure I get my name pronunciation right here. All right, we have Daniel Sobkowitz. Daniel Sobkowitz here, Illinois State wide receiver, 6'2", 190 pounds. We have him on the board. And then Colby Young, thoughts. Again, he wants to always get his Georgia boys in here, Johnny Boy. I see him listed at 6'5", 218 pounds. Lackawanna College, Miami, and then Georgia is sort of the journey there. So, okay, some deep cuts here. Do you have anything to contribute about these guys, Drew?
I'll be honest. The first guy, I haven't gotten my hands on any Illinois State tape yet,
Okay.
so I can't give you an opinion on Daniel. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Colby Young is an interesting one. I'm glad I didn't really expect him to be brought up today, but I'm glad somebody did. He is tape wise one of the most fun sleepers in this class. Like he has potential day 2 type tape at Georgia. He is, or at least like early day 3, fun athlete. You saw him kind of show out at the combine a little bit, but there is also some major red flags behind the scenes that I think is what's causing him to be a little bit lower. He's got some extracurriculars that is going to concern teams. So again, I like the tape on Colby Young. I think he's a guy that, again, if you do your own personal evaluation on his character and you feel like he's a guy you take a shot on, I think he could be a steal for somebody. Like he's got the tape to go early on day 3. But again, there's a reason he's lower on the consensus board. So, but again, I'm props to Johnny Boy for bringing him up. That's a fun sleeper, fun tape there. But yeah, there are reasons he's a little bit lower. And I'll jot that name down for sure. I'll try to see if I can dig up some Illinois State tape somewhere along the way and get you an opinion on him.
There you go. By the way, there's some conflicting things on Colby Young's size across. I'll go to ESPN, a more trusted source, 6'3", not listed at 6'5". Binghamton, New York guy, 215 pounds. Still big, but not as big. So, again, conflicting stuff there on the internet about him. But, hey, way to get your Georgia guy in there, Johnny Boy. I can respect that. So, nice. Keep those super chats coming. If you guys, again, have questions about certain wide receivers, we'll welcome those in. Let's go to Hep, a Boy Green Espresso Club member.
Wow.
Number for a year. Happy anniversary, Hep. Oh, man, you're going to have to take me out to a candlelight dinner later. That's wonderful. 12 months here on the channel. Appreciate you, Hep. Denzel Boston, a very popular, fun name in Jets Twitter land. Bigger wide receiver out of Washington, 6'4". He's saying Denzel Boston, so sort of your analysis. Also, what round do you think he goes? I've seen him on the high end, go in the back end of the first round, and then I've seen him sort of settle in there in the second round. I don't know if that's the truth or what we're just seeing in public mock draft world, but what's sort of your analysis here on Denzel Boston?
Yeah, Boston is probably the guy in the first round kind of bucket consensus-wise that I feel the least confident about going in the first round. I think that he is certainly one of the biggest chance. Well, I guess you could call in Jordan Tyson now with the medicals, but Boston is a guy that we've seen float around the back end of the first. We started to see him slide out, into the 30s, and even the 40s, more on some mocks. But yeah, I mean, Boston, if you followed me for any time at all in my draft analysis on receivers, the big guys, the ball winners are not the ones that I usually love. Right. I've got a late second round grade on Boston. I still think part of me still thinks he goes in the first round, come or equal, because I think you're going to see a big run on receivers on day 1. Teams in a draft class that's generally kind of lower in the talent department, and you have a receiver class as stacked as this. I think you're going to see a run, and teams are just going to be jumping on this. There's a lot of receiver needy teams in the back end of the first round, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if Boston goes in the first. But it also wouldn't surprise me if he's there as an option at the top of the second for the Jets. But Boston, he's a guy that is, again, one of, if not the best at the catch point. He's in contention for that in this class. He's probably the strongest hands that I've ever evaluated in a receiver. I mean, he has vice grips attached to his wrist. Like, you will see some of these plays where a receiver has got their hand within his, firmly within his frame, within his arms, and he is just clamping that ball from wrapped around them. The hand strength is absurd with him. He's a guy that knows how to use his frame. Again, he can post guys up at the catch point. But all of my concerns with him are really separation and athleticism. I think that he is another guy that kind of lacks that top gear. He's not somebody that can really vertically threaten guys consistently on the outside. He is somebody that, again, same deceleration concerns that I've mentioned. I think it doesn't take him as long to get to his top speed. I think he's a guy that doesn't get enough credit for his acceleration off the line and the short area quickness with him. But again, you see it takes him so many steps to get back down to zero. Like if you run on a comeback, his stop routes are pretty ugly because there's a lot of hip stiffness, a lot of wasted movement. It just takes him a long time to slow down. So that really hurts you as a separator to me. So athletically, he's a little bit more limited. That's why I have him lower personally. But definitely a guy that's going to float around that back into the first round, early second. And he's kind of your prototypical X receiver, ball winner, jump ball guy.
Yeah, some of the best hands I ever remember coming out of college, me and my dad used to talk about it all the time, was Golden Tate coming out of Notre Dame, and he just had those crazy catches where his hands were like on the ball, and a DB would be whacking at it, and he just went, ooh, and just had it. So I remember all the good Golden Tate days. Quick follow-up question on this, because you mentioned you believe you expect there could be this wide receiver run. So the Jets pick at 2. They pick at 16, then they don't pick again until 33. So would you advise the Jets, hey, if there's a receiver you like, you better take him at 16 because I don't know if they're going to be there at 33?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, if there's a guy that they really do feel like is going to be the receiver too, like that's going to be the Robin next to Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
I think they take him at 16. I don't think there's enough talent across the board anywhere else to justify you have to get this here and you can take receiver later. But I also think, that there's going to be a good receiver left on the board at 33. It's deep enough in this class that there's going to be probably at least one guy fall out of the first round that you feel confident about at 33. But again, I still stand by the fact that it makes the most sense for the Jets to address receiver at 16 if the board falls how we think it will, which is rarely the case. But as of now, I would still go receiver at 16 if I were them.
All right, let's go. Let's go to Black Rican 50. Omar Cooper Jr. is a hot name as of late. Could he be in play at 16? In Daniel Jeremiah's latest mock draft, he had Omar Cooper going at 16, which is a surprise. I've not seen that very often. And then I heard Connor Rogers on Badlands saying, we, as a Jets fan base, are not accustomed to seeing Omar Cooper Jr. as the first-round pick, but we better get accustomed to it because he thinks that's going to pick up steam as we go over the next month, which, by the way, folks, I didn't mention this till just now, but I don't know if you know this, Drew, but we're exactly a month away from the NFL draft.
Oh, it really is a month.
Which I will be at. So I will be there in Pittsburgh for the first time in my life. So that will be crazy for sure. But again, circling back here, shout out, drink if you, I guess it's 7 in the morning, probably wait to drink, but or something, I don't know, to celebrate or whatever the case. Cheers, wherever you are out there in the audience. Is the Omar Jr. hype warranted? Should he be in the first round conversation?
Yeah, Cooper has been it's just been like a meteoric rise of draft boards for him. It was really, pre-combine, really the week before the combine is where it started. I felt like he was, for most of the beginning of the draft process, he had been talked about as this potential borderline top 50 guy, more in the third round conversation, just a mid day 2 pick. And I really liked him around there. That's where he was for me. He's in the 60s on my board. He's a guy that I liked in that mid day 2 range. And then all of a sudden it was a rocket ship. He flew into the first round on these boards. And I saw, Ryan Roberts, I believe, of A to Z Sports tweet this last week, where I really liked day 2 Omar Cooper Jr. I really don't know if I like first round Omar Cooper Jr. And I couldn't agree more with that, where I thought he had a great skill set for a borderline top 50 guy. I liked him there. I don't really understand the first round hype. I think that he's clearly a great athlete. I don't think he's quite the level of separator that he should be for how good of an athlete that he is. He worries me at the catch point. I don't think he's as strong as he needs to be. You see him get kind of dominated at the catch point more than I'd like. But clearly his calling card is he's electric after the catch. You get the ball in his hands and he's lightning, He can be a really fun gadget guy. I'd probably like him best as a power slot, as a gadget type power slot in an offense. He's very Rashee Rice to me, hopefully not off the field. But on the field, he's very Rashee Rice play style wise to me. Not saying he's going to be that level of player, but play style wise, they play very similarly to me. So yeah, I mean, again, I really like day 2 Omar Cooper Jr., but it's very clear he's going to be a top 20, top 25 pick at this point. And I don't know if I can get quite that high on him.
Which very fair. Yeah, we've been waiting for this question. Ricky, New York Live. BG, super curious what Drew thinks of Casey Concepcion. And I know that's your boy in this draft, and he was a very popular pick for you in early Jets mock drafts here on the channel. Again, we'll have a few mock drafts leading into the draft, trades, and all kinds of different ones, different versions we'll have leading up to it. But come on, give us the skinny on your boy Casey Concepcion.
Yeah, Casey has been one of my favorite receivers through this whole draft cycle so far. He's my receiver 3 right now, or receiver 4, sorry. receiver 4, and he is firmly a first-round grade for me. I'm a really, really big fan of his tape. Elite separator. He's a really high-caliber athlete. He's got a smaller frame, but he's just going to fly off the line of scrimmage. He's another guy that's been a victim of the slot-only talks we talked about earlier. And he's somebody who I think does have the skill set to play on the outside. Yes, he was used primarily as a slot for NC State when he played there a year ago. I think Texas A&M used him more on the boundary, but he still played a good bit of slot there. But I've heard a lot of people call him a slot only at the NFL level, and I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that he is not athletically limited at all. He's got the size does worry you a little bit on the boundary. Sure, if a guy gets really a jarring punch into his chest, he's going to get rocked. But I think he's got a great release package. He's got a great plan to attack press. I think he gets off the line of scrimmage at a high rate. So no reason I don't think he can play the Z or maybe even the X, if you need him to in an offense. He's electric after the catch. He's an awesome punt returner, so you're going to get a lot of special teams value in a KC Concepcion too. He was firmly the best returner in college this past year. To me, I guess Caden Weegan from Iowa. That was not similar at all. Is a guy that we won't. I don't know where Ohio State came from. Is a guy that is further down the list, but he was a fun returner too. That's a side tangent. But KC Concepcion, he's an elite separator, guy that I love. The one drawback with him, I think he plays stronger than he is at the catch point, but he does have some drop issues. That's been a big plague on his scouting report to me. And it worries me more with him rather than just regular drop issues. Sometimes that's just a focus drop issue. With him, I think it's a technique issue. He likes to clap the ball to catch it. You'll hear people call that a clap, the way he catches it. And that's a real problem. And there's you can see it. That is the clear, consistent reason he's had as many drops as he has. So you're going to have to coach that out of him quick at the NFL level. But he's got a first-round receiver skill set, no doubt, and he is one of my favorites in this class.
So appreciate that question, Ricky. That had to come up. All right, Drew, you tell me this. We'll break the fourth wall here. How much time do you have left with us this morning? It's 7:45.
I can go for like another 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, all right.
More around 5, but
okay, yeah, all right. Let's get through some of these guys. I know you're a lot higher on this player than a lot of people. You mentioned it before the show. Chris Brazzell, Tennessee. Yeah,
Brazzell. I'm going to go as quick hit as I can. Yeah. Probably my favorite player in this whole class. He is a top 10 player on my board, which I know is like crazy high. But there's always one guy I fall in love with. And this year, that's Chris Brazzell. 6'4", 200 pounds, elite athlete. He's a guy that ran a 4.3, and I think he's even faster than that on tape, or at least right around there. That's a real 40 time. He flies. Biggest thing is the deceleration to me. He's 6'4", and a guy that gets up to speed that quickly and has that high of a top speed, he'll get from 0 like that. And that makes him such an elite separator to me. He plays as big as he should at the catch point. He is, a deep threat, great separator in the intermediate and deep levels. Another guy with some drop issues, but I feel a little bit more comfortable taking on that than maybe KC's drop issues. So firmly a first-round player to me. I love Chris Brazzell, and a guy that I would take really high in this class.
Ted Hurst, Georgia State.
Another guy that I've been super high on, top 20 player on my board for me. I've talked about him throughout the whole process. Another big, fluid, high-caliber athlete, 6'4", or 6'3", whatever he came in at, a little bit over 200 pounds. Really fluid, again, the deceleration. That's always, I'm going to continue to harp on that. It's my favorite trait in a receiver is how fast can these guys get from 60 to 0. And Ted Hurst is a guy that really sinks his hips well. Not a huge after the catch guy, but he's a guy that really will win balls for you at the catch point. He can play stereotypical X guy, beats press at a high level, high caliber athlete, good separator, dominates at the catch point. I'm a big fan of his too.
All right. I've seen this name a lot more often. Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama.
Yeah, Jeremy Bernard at Alabama is a guy that a lot of people are talking about as an underrated sleeper right now. And he is probably one of the guys I'm lowest on versus consensus. I don't really understand the hype with him. Okay. And I just think he's got a severe lack of explosiveness. I just don't think he is an NFL caliber athlete necessarily. He's a guy that he didn't separate well in college to me. I don't think he's going to be a separator at all at the NFL level. I don't think he's necessarily a ball winner either. Not as proficient at the catch point as you need to be for how limited he is athletically. He is super fun after the catch, and he's a great blocker. Those are maybe the two ways that he lives in the NFL. So again, I think he's going to have to live as a blocker, dirty work, gadget power slot at the NFL level. But I think at best case, he's a wide receiver 3 at the NFL. So at the NFL level, so I just worry a little bit about him and his athletic profile. And I don't really understand the top 50, top 75 hype with him. He's more of a mid day 3 guy to me. But I know he's been a firm second and third round contender in mock drafts. So I wanted to touch on him briefly.
Skylar Bell, UConn.
That's another guy that I'm a little bit lower on. And I thought coming into his tape, I thought he was a guy that I was going to be really high on because normally the separators, they're like really twitchy, route runners are the guys that I love. And that's what I'd heard about Skylar Bell. And I turned on the tape and that just wasn't the case to me. I don't think he's stiff, but I also wouldn't really call him super fluid. Not the best athlete in the world. I know he tested well, but I didn't really see that on tape. I think he's a lot, his kind of calling card is what he does at the catch point. Even for being a smaller guy, he wins all the time at the catch point, plays a lot bigger than he is. Doesn't bring you anything after the catch. Like I said, there's a common theme in this draft class. There's not a lot of yak guys. But again, I just wish Bell was a better separator than he is for how well he tested.
Thank you, Mahar Khalil, for that question. All right. Two things here before we go. One more wide receiver, Malachi Fields, Notre Dame Golden Domer.
Yeah, that's another guy that's had kind of an Omar Cooper type meteoric ride. Like he was an early day 3 guy for a long period in this draft class. And then all of a sudden, Danny Jeremiah is mocking him to the Bills at 26 or whatever it was. And again, he's another victim of just me not being a fan of the ball winners. And I think he's a guy that I have even considerably lower than Denzel Boston. And it's just, again, I don't think he's, the caliber of athlete that you need to be to separate at the NFL level. He was a guy that couldn't separate at the college level because he was just, the long speed is so limited. He's a guy that just isn't going to be able to beat NFL DBs vertically. I don't think he's not going to be able to separate down the sideline. And again, just stiff hips, not a guy that can decelerate, not a guy that's going to be an elite separator. And I worry about him against press coverage. That's one thing that's kind of separates Denzel Boston from the big guys of recent that I've talked about, where I worry about how these big guys can just be a target in like target practice for press corners sometimes because they're such big frames. They don't know how to use that size to fight at the line of scrimmage. Yeah. Boston does. Fields doesn't. So Fields will get jarred at the line of scrimmage a good bit. But man, yeah, he's awesome at the catch point. His highlight reel of one-handed spectacular catches is 10 minutes long. So I understand why people love him. He's got an awesome, the one-handed catches are crazy. He knows how to use his frame. He'll really post guys up sometimes, have some fun highlight reel catches. But I worry about him. He's more of a day 3 guy to me.
All right, last one here is a super chat coming in from Blue B, Super Jets fan. Let's hit it.
Wow.
Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame running back versus healthy Micah Parsons of the Green Bay Packers. 10 times what's the score?
Back to these questions. These are fun. This one's a little bit harder to project to me because I think you're talking about a running back, versus an outside linebacker in the open field. I will say, Jeremiah Love's one of the most creative open field runners, most elusive guys that I've evaluated in a long time. So I'll split this one down the middle. I'll go 50-50. I'll give Love 5 and I'll go Parsons 5.
Which again is quite a tip of the cap, I'd imagine, for Love. Micah Parsons is a freak. So all right, I love it. So thank you for the creative super chat, Lou B, Super Jets fan. Drew, I love our time together. I'm very happy the time that we have. Thank you so much for taking it here on a beautiful Monday. And again, we're a month out from the draft, so we only got a couple more of these shows left pre-draft, and then of course we have your big draft grade show, which will be after the draft. So I'm looking forward to it, pal.
Yep. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
All right. There he is, Drew Beatty, our at Iron City Film, joining us here on the program. He joins us every Monday. Again, folks, make sure you set your clocks accordingly if you want to get your questions in. That is 7 o'clock every Monday. And again, let me pull up the old calendar here. So let's see. So we just had this Monday. We have one more March Monday that'll be coming up on the 30th. That's a week from today. So we have the 30th. We have the April 6th, April 13th, April 20th. We have 4 shows left with Drew pre-draft, and then the 27th, which will be a few days after the draft, we will do a draft grade show where he will give us the raw stuff. We'll bring up every player, strengths, weaknesses, great, bad, good, this. What did the Jets miss? What did the Jets hit on? So we've got 5 overall shows left with Drew, and then he'll be off for the rest of the offseason until next year. But 4 more left, and we're still going to do a trade mock draft coming up. We're going to do a 7-round mock draft. Oh boy, yeah, we're gonna be litty, folks. We're gonna be litty. We got 400 people in the room, including 150 of those 400 watching right now on YouTube, which I very much appreciate, guys. Make sure you guys like the video. That is the free way to contribute to this show. We only have 46 likes, but over 150 people in the room. What the hell is going on out there? Come on, people, show some friggin' love out there in from the audience, I'd really appreciate it as well. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, baby. We're 3 subscribers away from 8,510 as we keep chipping away, baby, with all of those subscribers. All right, let's do this. I see there's questions, there's comments, there's everything in between. Let's immediately open up the phone lines here on the program, and we'll take calls, we'll take your questions, and a little bit of everything. A very busy week for the New York Jets on the Pro Day circuit. We could talk about that too. More coming up after this.
1, 2, 3. Whoa! Boy Green, fucking daily, fucking daily, fucking daily. Talking Jets football, man. All right. Boy Green daily, fucking daily, fucking daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. Everyone, J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets. Boy Green, fucking daily, fucking daily, fucking daily. Talking Jets football, man. All right. Boy Green, fucking daily, fucking daily, fucking daily. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Let's go!
There he goes. That's Hap. Hey, everybody. My name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. That fancy title just means I cover the New York Jets every day with articles and podcasts and everything in between. Glad to have you, whether you're a first-time viewer or first-time listener or long-time viewer or listener. We appreciate you all the same. And the phone lines are open. That is a pinned comment on youtube.com/@BoyGreen25. If you'd like to call into the program, feel free to do so. Also, answer your questions and comments. Incel Alon with a very interesting one. I did a YouTube short on this last night. I wrote a column about this last night. Miami's Pro Day is today, okay? Jets general manager Darren Muji met last night with Miami quarterback Carson Beck. Fascinating. Here's the latest. I'll give you some of my notes from my column that I did on Carson Beck yesterday. To me, it's interesting that Darren Muji meeting up with Carson Beck, picking his brain. Fascinating. Ahead of the Pro Day. Now, Carson Beck, there's a lot to like. And I know Johnny Boy feels exactly the same way. He's 6'5". He's 233 pounds. So he's got prototypical size. He's 23 years old. He will turn 24 during his rookie season. He spent 5 years with the Georgia Bulldogs and then a 6th year with the Miami Hurricanes this past season. He won 2 national championships as a backup quarterback at Georgia. He was in a 3rd national title game, obviously, this past season / in January, as Miami played Indiana. So he's had a decorated career. In his very long career in college, he's appeared in 55 games. He's completed 69.5% of his passes. He's thrown for over 11,000 yards. He has 88 touchdowns, 32 picks. Over the last 3 years, he's been a full-time starter. The first couple of years, he was a backup in college. He averaged, over the last 3 years as a full-time starter, 3,700 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and he's completed 70% of his passes. Again, Miami had a wonderful season this past year. He deserves a lot of credit. They went 13-3. That included 4 wins over top 25 teams. Of course, all of the wins in the college football playoff were obviously additionally against top 25 teams. So you can add to that pelts on the wall there to give him 6 top 25 wins this past season. And he set career highs in completion percentage, 72.4%, touchdowns, 30, completions, 338, and passing attempts, 467. This guy at one point was considered the number 1 overall pick in the draft in 2025, but his final season at Georgia did not go according to plan. And I think our next guest on the phone lines can speak perhaps more to that, which we will get to here. But before we do, I see memberships are raining from the high heavens, and we have super chat messages. So let's go. Let me throw this up from NC Green first. Let's get a super chat message.
Wow.
Hey, there we go. NC Green, 24 months, just past 2 years on the best morning show. Let's go. Thank you. My heart beats a little faster, a little extra I appreciate that, NC Green, and thank you, everybody, for the support. It was great meeting you, NC Green, at the tailgate, and I'm hoping to meet so many more of you out there in the universe at this year's tailgate. Much more to come on that, so thank you, NC Green. Appreciate it, and thank you for celebrating with a 5-pack of Boy Green Coffee Club memberships. Let's friggin' go. That away, baby. That away.
Who wanna fly with the
Hell yeah, baby. Hell yeah. Let's add that to your total, NC Green. That now takes you to 11 raffle tickets. I'll update the banner here in just a second. Here are the 5 new members to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Shout out to NC Green in our audience. Those members are Beagle Lover 12, Chris B., New York Jets fan. We have Jetman 41, Jersey Jets is back, and Peter Castro, who just sent in a super chat earlier this week. Peter Castro, appreciate that. Thank you, NC Green, for gifting out those 5 memberships out there in the audience. All right, we're talking Carson Beck. There's some more to be had there. Let's start it off here with Johnny Boy. You were told, Johnny Boy, yesterday, you just don't know on Carson Beck. And now Darren Muji met with Carson Beck last night, probably took him out to a nice seafood dinner, and now pro day today. Carson Beck, Jets, that's heating up.
As much as I don't want to say this, he had a really good combine. So I do have to. He looked really good there.
Okay.
Dude,
what went wrong? So give us this, Johnny Boy, because you're a Georgia Bulldog, sick 'em. So give us the truth, right? So Carson Beck, at one point, I remember it. I'm old enough to remember when people said, oh, he's going to be the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft. And obviously things did not go that way because he returned for another college football season with Miami. So obviously if he would have been a number 1 overall pick, he would have left and taken the bag and everything else. But the hype and hope of what he was to be did not equate. Why didn't it? What went wrong at Georgia where he couldn't be the guy after the guy?
He dirt balls, bro, and then a lot of these balls were behind a lot of the players, dude. Like,
so accuracy issues is what you're saying.
Yeah. So and after Stetson Bennett, right? Like he just wasn't like he was supposed to be that guy, and I loved Gunner and what he's doing. And if that tells you anything, just go look at the tape, you know. But look, I have to look. I can't front on Stetson. I mean on Carson Beck. If they get him in the later rounds, I'm not gonna be mad at it. It is what it is, dude.
Here it is. I have this in my notes. So Jordan Reed has him as the 4th best quarterback in this class. He projected him as a late day 2, early day 3 pick. That means a late 3rd round pick or early 4th round pick. And I looked at the consensus big board, and he looks like he's more so just a solid 4th round pick. They don't have him in the 3rd round. They have him in the meat of the 4th round, which in theory, Jets at 103 could take him near the top of the 4th round. That he projects to be on the board. Anything can happen with the draft, of course, but a 4th round draft choice on Carson Beck could be possible.
Yeah, and I mean at that point, it is what it is for me, at least.
Are you going to get a Carson Beck Jets jersey?
Fuck no, I will never get a Carson Beck. Dude, I could not stand that man when he was at Georgia, bro. There were so many times that he would have dudes open, he just couldn't get him the ball. Like our guys would just burn them, right? And they would have to like slow down and come back for the ball. So that's my.
But I look at his numbers, Johnny. I know. I want you to give it to me straight here. This guy looks like he's been incredibly he averaged 70% of his passes completed. That's a great number. That's throughout his entire career. So, like, was it just you're saying that the numbers aren't as good as they look?
Correct, because what it was a lot of like quick slants to the flats.
Okay,
you know, real quick when you had talent around him. Like crazy. Okay. You look at the Georgia guys that came out. That's who he had. So that's my take on him. Lou B, what's going on, brother?
Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Hey, Lou B, did you get a fresh cut or something?
No, I'm just shaved down today. I'm in Las Vegas, BG. So I got.
Oh, you made it. Oh, good. Safe
travels. Okay, Jones out here. It's 5 a.m. out here. The first thing I woke up to was a text from Johnny Boy sending me his draft list. I'm like, trying to go through these ideas. So I'm wide awake right now. But you guys continue, and then I got to jump into what I have to say.
Okay. I have to take my kid right now, so I just wanted to ask you a quick question. This will be for both of you guys. How much weight does the RAS score hold, and what does it really mean? Right? Like, do you think a lot of these NFL organizations really look into that and think that matters, or is that just me digging more into something? Because like I go back and I think about Kuntz, right? And Kuntz score was like crazy good, right? But it just never translated into the NFL. Does any matter? What do you guys think? So Ruby, Boy Green, appreciate you guys, man. So I'm gotta go take a little one to school. Let me. I'll keep listening.
Of course. I appreciate you, Johnny Boy. Yeah, I'll answer that real quick. RAS, for those who don't know what that means, that stands for the Relative Athletic Score. It's a 0 to 10 grading system that evaluates NFL prospects' athleticism. It compares basically their combine testing numbers, which, you know, it's their size, it's their explosiveness, it's their speed, all those traits. And it compares to historical data, which dates back to the late 80s. And a score of 10 represents basically, that means a 99th percentile athlete. So it sort of puts all the hard numbers together of identifying their athletic traits in a variety. All of them are here. I see composition, weighted metrics, contextual comparison, interpretation, all these pros and cons and other things. But obviously, as we saw with Zach Kuntz, it's not the end all be all. That doesn't mean if you have a high RAS score that you're just going to be awesome. It's just another level of data to give you on athleticism guys. So maybe it can be a tiebreaker. Not necessarily for Zach Kuntz in the 7th round, but in the 3rd round, if one guy has a much higher RAS than another, you could sort of interpret that for potential. So that's sort of what it means. And you guys can Google it. And during the combine, you can see tweets of these graphics coming out on the RAS score of different athletes. But no, that's basically what it is. But good question, Johnny Boy. Lou B, come on, man. You're up early. Your mind is racing. You got something.
Definitely. So, BG, yesterday I'm flying from New York to Las Vegas, and I was just watching every show. And, you know, Jets Chaos is someone I respect his opinion. He's that guy is really, really good as well. And I mentioned something about Love, and he basically said that the Love is a franchise changing player, like a guy who could actually change a franchise, basically carry a franchise on their back. Now, put in your Love earplugs, everyone, because I'm about to go at it. I think it's going to be very, very hard for AG and Muji and Frank, who does like running as well, to go to Notre Dame and meet him and not be completely mesmerized. They're meeting him what day this week? They're going to
I think it's tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll double check and pull that up here. Let me see.
So let's say it is tomorrow. When they leave there,
yes, it's Tuesday. Tomorrow.
They're going to be very confused on that flight because it is going to be very hard to pass on a guy like that. Now, BG, if we took Love and also got like a 3rd or a 4th round pick, that would sound pretty good. Because how does that happen? Well, that's what happens when you trade out Brees. You get a 3rd or a 4th. So if you do take Love, you get another 3rd or a 4th round pick, which can be used as defense. BG, my question to you is this.
Yeah.
If they took Love at 2,
yes,
then what does the draft look like at 16 for us? If we were to stick and pick, because obviously we're looking for some type of extreme defensive player right now. Then what do we do in this draft?
All right, so let's take Love at 2. Let's make that happen. I'm pulling up the consensus big board here and see what edge rushers could be, or who in general could be in the conversation. So I'm looking at the top list here. If they just wanted to go offense, maybe they pull the trigger on one of the wide receivers if they're there at 16 and you just light them up. But if you were convinced to go with your strategy of getting a frontline defender, Akeem Mesidor, they're going to see him today at the Miami Pro Day. He's 20th on the consensus board, so he would totally be on the board, obviously. At 16, that could be it. Vega, if you wanted to, again, double dip on offense, go Vega and Jeremiah Love and just say, hey, we're not going to get slapped around on offense. That could be a way, potentially. I'm curious if they would still be interested in a potential trade up if they took Love at 2. Would they still be willing to move up and get aggressive? You've talked about 7. Washington is missing meat picks in the middle that maybe you could overcompensate.
That's right.
So you trade up for a
Brees to-
Sonny
Brees to
Styles or
7.
Caleb Downs, right? So
Brees
get
to
Love
DC.
and Downs or something. Yeah, 100%. And maybe you could just sort of attack it that way. You get Love at 2, and then you say, you know what? The value here is this player that we probably could have gotten at 2, but we'll get him at 7 and pair him with Love. Then we don't play around. Because if you don't take Love at 2, there is a chance that Arizona could do it. There is a chance that Tennessee could do it. There is a chance that the Giants could do it. And to me, I think there's sort of a cluster of players I'd be very happy with between Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, and Arvell Reese if he slipped, or Ruben Bain, or whoever the other guy is. Some combination of those guys has to be available at 7. That's just the math. But if you lock in Love at 2, you guarantee that you could get that other guy by moving back up at 7, which costs you maybe 44, and then you still have 33, which you could trade back and make up the difference of whatever you lose, or you just say, hey, we're going to just walk away with 3 really good players in the first 2 days of the draft. We'll take Jeremiah Love. We'll trade up and get, let's say, Sonny Styles for sake of the argument. And then 33, you get whoever. Is it Pregnon, the Oregon guard, if you want that? Is it a wide receiver? Does Jordan Tyson fall all the way to 33? And then you get him? Like, whatever happens, you could just walk away from the first 2 days of the draft with 3 star impact players. And then we just go to war this season.
BG, obviously, we know that this draft, there's a lot of guys that are very even up in the top, like, let's say 2 to 6, right? And that's what we are projecting. So what I'm thinking is that, as crazy as this sounds, and it's like, oh, it's too early, we're the Jets, you don't take a running back at 2. Well, Tennessee Titans, a franchise in the NFL, Arizona Cardinals, a franchise, the Giants. These guys are talking about taking this guy this high. How could I be so wrong if you have at least 3 to 4 and other teams probably are out there too that want this guy? How could I be so wrong? Everyone out there, Love is the answer. It is it would change my last question to you, BG. What does our offense look like if Love is on the team? What does that do for Geno? What does that do for Garrett? What does that do for AD? What does that do for Mason? What does that do with a line like the line that we have? Tell me what that offense looks like, BG.
Playoffs. I mean, you have a guy that can run the football. You got a guy that can catch a football. You got a guy that can pass protect. You can have this Detroit Lions thing where you have Jahmyr Gibbs and Dave Montgomery with Brees and Jeremiah Love, or you trade off Brees Hall. There's going to be, I think, a cajillion teams interested, and then you figure out what value is if you want to do that. Maybe that makes up the gap of one of those picks you're missing. What if you traded Brees for a 3, or you packaged one of your other
that's
picks?
what I just said. That's exactly what I was saying.
So I think there's a world where that happens, and then you upgrade at running back, or depending on how you feel about Love versus Brees. I think I'm obviously very high on Love. And then you're able to save money versus the franchise tag. So you save some shekels, you pick up a pick, you use that pick on another thing of great need. To me, I just think that Geno Smith's best friend is going to be Jeremiah Love. Garrett Wilson's best friend is going to be Jeremiah Love. When he's killing it, running and catching the football to the backfield, the defense is like, holy shit, we need to focus in on this guy. And that opens up things for Garrett. That opens up things for Mason Taylor. That opens up things for everybody. Everybody eats if Jeremiah Love gets the love from the NYJ.
So I think that the statement that you just said is the conversation they're about to have on that plane ride, because it's going to be he's such a guy with character that it is going to be very hard to be like, I will never take a running back that high. It's going to be tough. It is going to be tough, BG, because he's the only guy in this entire draft right now that you hear can change a franchise like that. Look, Arvell could be good. Bailey could be good. Bain could be good. These guys could be great, excellent players. But what Love does for the Jets would be extraordinary. And as you know, I am a firm believer that if Brees wanted to be here, they would have did a deal already. They have so much money. He could have been out there, like you said, saying, I want to be a Jet. He's not. Well, Johnny Boy was saying that. I just think that this is going to be a very interesting trip to Notre Dame. And the last thing is they're going to meet with Price too, maybe. And if it doesn't work out with Love, maybe they're looking at price later on into the draft.
No, we can only hope. Luby, get some sleep or whatever the hell is going on over there in Vegas, baby. We appreciate you tuning in as always. There he is. Luby, Super Jets fan. I'll be with him at the draft. So if we get the certain chimes and perhaps, this happens. Number 2 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. The New York Jets select Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. Luby may die. He may fall over, and I'm going to have to go clear, and then Luby jumps back to life. And I'm willing to do that for Luby because that's the kind of guy I am. I will bring him back to life so he can enjoy that viral moment at the NFL Draft. Again, saw Jeremiah Love in person. Oh, what a superstar. Sharon calls him the next Curtis Martin. Pooh, sign me up. Hall of Famer? Hell yeah. That'd be wonderful. Yeah. Beautiful. Great conversation. Love Lou. Let's get to some questions and comments here. Let me see. Lou is lost in love. R&R says, yeah, he's in love. I can't blame him. It's beautiful. R&R says Brees plus another player is better than Love. Well, that's part of the debate because you're also the money, the financial commitment is now the piece of that puzzle. We'll get back to these comments here in just a moment. Let's do this. Let's get to the phone lines. 04 Jets fan jumps into the octagon. What's up, pal?
Morning. How you doing this morning? I missed the overall draft. I understand from what you're saying we took Love at 2, but there was a trade up?
No. So there wasn't any mock draft. Today we're just talking about wide receivers.
Oh, okay.
What Lou B was suggesting is, like, he's a big Jeremiah Love Notre Dame fan, and he says, hey, let's just say, Paul, we take him at 2. Now what happens in the draft? And I said, I showed him a bunch of players that would be available at 16. Or I said, Akeem Mesidor or, one of the receivers maybe. But if you're just gung-ho on getting one of those top players, so you take Love at 2, Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame running back. They trade up to like 7. Washington's probably that team because they're just missing meat picks. If you look at their draft chart of what picks they have in this draft, they're just missing a lot of meat and potatoes in the middle of their draft. So you'd think, in theory, they'd be more willing to trade back than some other teams. So if you're the Jets at 16, maybe you can use 16 and 44 and jump to 7 and then take whoever you want. Let's flip a coin. Caleb Downs might be there. Sonny Styles might be there. Arvell Reese might be there. Reuben Bain might be there. Whoever, I don't know. So you take your guy at Love at 2, you get whoever falls to 7, and then you walk away from the first 2 days of the draft with Jeremiah Love, Sonny Styles, let's just say, and then at pick 33, whatever you want. Let's call that. There's been a lot of injury concerns about Jordan Tyson. Maybe he falls to 33, and you walk away with a front 7 player, a wide receiver, and a running back. And that was just sort of the case.
Okay. I mean, I'm not opposed to taking Love at 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not my first choice. Sure. Honestly, I have a feeling that 2 is going to get moved.
Ooh.
I think we're coming back.
All right.
And there's just a lot of smoke from things I've been reading that they're shopping the pick, that there's a lot of interest in the pick. And I mean, rightfully so, there should be. The Jets or whoever ends up with the pick, first choice of non-quarterback. And that's, even though it's not a quarterback, it's still a very valuable pick.
I agree.
I could see Tennessee wanting to come up. I could see Cleveland wanting to come up. I don't know of many other teams that would have the pull to come up.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'd like to see it be Cleveland.
Oh, yeah. They got
Take
2 number
both
ones.
of those first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year and next year, I don't know if you could go wrong with that.
No, I don't think so.
And honestly, what is Cleveland picking? 6?
Yes.
Somebody's going to be there. You're not going to lose out on that entire crop of the first 5 or 6 players. Somebody will shock everybody by taking somebody that wasn't projected in that first crop of players. It always happens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either stick and pick or move down. And honestly, I'd like to see him move down.
I would too, if that option is on the table. Yeah.
Move down twice. Because I think people are going to want to come up with 16 too.
Cleveland did that a few times. They had 2 first-round picks a couple of years ago, and they moved down from it might have been, this is more than a few years ago. I'm dating myself, but in the Sammy Watkins draft where they were at 4, and they let the Bills trade up from 9 to 4.
Yep.
And then the Browns traded back one more time to 16. So you can double dip trade back and just pick up a treasure chest of draft assets. So that's another possibility.
And honestly, if we did that with 16, I want a 3rd round pick, but I also want picks for next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would at that point value picks for next year more than picks for this year. Because next year, I don't think there's any semblance or means where this next draft isn't just loaded with guys, potential Hall of Famers at the end of their careers. It's going to be a loaded draft.
Yeah, that'd be historic. I'd be all for getting as many picks in that kind of draft as possible.
But enough rambling. I'll let you get on with it. Have a great day, my good sir. And go Jets.
Thanks for checking in, brother. That is our buddy 04 Jets fan. Well said. Some good thoughts there. Again, if trade back opportunities are there, the Jets should totally explore it. And Muji is a crafty guy. Could they trade back and get some 2027 assets? It's a fine balance, right? Because, Aaron Glenn wants to win as many games as possible, natural, and so do I, for that matter. But Darren Muji also has to keep a foot in the present and a foot in the future. He's got to constantly be sort of balancing these two things. Let's go to a super chat here. This is from DNY for Life. My pop's favorite shipmate, my buddy Devin. Let's go to Devin here.
Wow.
By the way, real quick on Devin, he's got 16 raffle tickets to our contest at sole possession of second place in our contest. More on our raffle in just a minute. $5 super chat coming in. BG and Lou B. Y'all down low want to get AG fired if they take Jeremiah Love at 2. Love the player, but that would be irresponsible. Arvel Reese is the pick. JETS. Jets. A lot of things to unpack here from my boy Devin. First off, would it be irresponsible? Quite frankly, yes. I can admit I love Jeremiah Love, but it would be irresponsible. If you didn't have Breece Hall, it would probably still be irresponsible, but it's just on what people say you should do with a running back and when you should take one versus not. I've heard those conversations. It would be irresponsible. It would be reckless, quite frankly, with the other needs the Jets have to take a running back, even though I love Jeremiah Love. I would agree with that point, that it would be irresponsible. When you are in this position, a number 2 overall pick, while it seems like the Jets are here all the time, you're really not. Zach Wilson happened, 5 years ago? Zach Wilson, number 2 overall. 2018, they had 3rd overall. 2019, they had 3rd overall, although they traded up in 2018 from 6 to 3. So they weren't sitting at that position. But you get the point, is you're rarely in these positions for normal franchises, and you have to take advantage. And most of them say you swing big at a premium position, quarterback, pass rusher, left tackle. Those are the things you should do it for. Now, thankfully, the Jets have their left tackle. They have our guy, Olu Muiwa, in the building. Shout out to Mama Fashanu.
His full name is Olu Muiwa Fashanu. And Olu Muiwa means the Lord has brought us this.
Shout out to Mama Fashanu. Appreciate that. So thankfully, we got left tackle down pat. Quarterback, there's just not one worth taking there at 2, with all due respect. And now the edge rusher. Again, if a gun was to my head and they said, Paul, predict what's going to happen with the number 2 overall pick, my gut would say at this moment in time, that the pick will be Arvell Reese. And I've envisioned Arvell Reese in the green and white uniform, and I'm very excited about him off ball. I'm very excited about him edge rusher wise. That's very exciting. That would be, again, if a gun was to my head, that seems sort of extreme to get a draft opinion out of me, but if a gun was to my head, I would say Arvell Reese is going to be the pick at number 2 for the New York Jets. I don't know if Love getting drafted number 2 overall would get AG fired. I mean, I'm sure that would make some people on social media very upset who denigrate the running back position and don't hold it in that same light. But I think Jeremiah Love is just, if you're just betting your career on someone being really successful, the player, the person, the character, man, it's easy to put all your chips into the middle of the table for Jeremiah Love because he's just that kind of guy. I mean, he's spectacular. He's spectacular. But some good thoughts. I appreciate that. Devin, DNY for life. Some good thoughts. You see, we don't all have to agree in here. We don't all have to agree on the chat. Nope, we don't have to all agree at all. Oh, our boy Gary Fuller's back. It's been a while. Let's welcome back Gary Fuller with a nice $5 super chat, baby. Welcome back, Gary.
Wow.
I love this take. Gary Fuller with a $5 super chat here. Middle linebacker Jacob Rodriguez at a Texas Tech with the 33rd overall pick. That's a great play, Gary. By the way, you have a raffle ticket to our contest. Again, more on that in a little bit. We'll keep you guys posted on that. But this is a great take, Gary. This is a great take indeed. Jacob Rodriguez is a freak. And the Jets absolutely need linebacker help. You have Demario Davis, who I love, and that's who I wanted. I'm glad the Jets splurged in free agency, but I was surprised they didn't add another linebacker. They were apparently sniffing around Micah McFadden of the New York Giants on a 1-year deal. Would have been dirt cheap because he's coming off a lost year. He had a season-ending foot injury back in week 1 of this past season. So they were sniffing around Micah McFadden, but they couldn't work out the money and ends up going back to the Giants. Jacob Rodriguez is 23 years old. He'll turn 24 right before the start of his rookie season. He's played his college football at Texas Tech. He's a former Red Raider, team captain. I mean, he checks off a lot of boxes here. I'm pulling up his NFL Combine data. He's listed at 6'1", 231 pounds. Okay. He had a 4.57 40-yard dash, 1.6 10-yard split, 38.5 vertical jump, 10.1 broad jump, 6.9 on the cone drill, and 4.19 on the 20-yard shuttle. Lance Zierlein, NFL draft analyst, compared him to Carson Schlesinger, who was just the defensive rookie of the year last year. And here, I'll just read a little bit of this bio here from Lance Zierlein on Jacob Rodriguez. He arrived in college as an offensive, quote, athlete, and he left Texas Tech as a bigger-than-life, stat-stuffing linebacker, uniquely productive, elite tackle, interception, and forced fumble production. He'll occasionally bounce out of a run fit when chasing action, but he has the burst to race back inside and finish. He's slippery working off blocks and navigating combo climbers. His lateral pursuit leaves the station on time with a fast takeoff. Rodriguez displays ball-hawking instincts and outstanding hands, but busted coverages were part of the package in 2025. His unbridled urgency and, quote, make every play mindset can inflate missed tackle totals, but the production should outweigh the occasional headaches. He projects as a long-term starting inside linebacker, and I would love for him to learn from Demario Davis. So, Rodriguez, we just did this in a mock draft. I think we got Jacob at 33 or 44. I can't remember. One of the two in our most recent Drew Beatty mock draft last week. Gary, it's been a while since I've seen you with the super chats in the chat. But what a great one to come back to, Gary. Jacob Bleepin Rodriguez, a turnover machine, and we need more people that play with their hair on fire and can do it. So absolutely, Gary Fuller. Welcome back with an emphatic boom shakalaka. That's what I'm talking about, Gary. Great call. All right, let's do this. Let's throw up our raffle prizes for this month, folks. Again, if you are new to the channel, let me explain. Again, my name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. Then we'll go back to the phone lines. At this current moment in time, we have over 400 people watching the show, which I'm very humbled by. 150 of these 400 are watching right now on my YouTube channel, which I appreciate. That's the best way to view this program and the best way to take it in every day. Here's the thing you can do for me. Do me a solid. Do me a favor. Hit that like button. We only have 78 likes, but like nearly 150 people in the room. So like the video. That's free to do. Make it a part of your routine every time you're watching the show. That helps get this Jet show in front of other Jet fans out there in the audience. That's how this show grows. grows organically. You just feed the beast, and that's how it continues to grow. Also, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. But if you are new to the channel, let me explain the rules. We do a raffle every single month on this channel. To be eligible for the raffle, all you have to do is spend $3 on the channel. You spend $3 at any time. And how do you do that? If you're watching on YouTube, hit that little money sign. A bunch of options pop up. Super chats, super stickers, gifting channel memberships to thy neighbor. All of those are options on the table. Every time you gift a membership, you get a requisite raffle ticket, because memberships are $2.99. A raffle ticket's $3. Bing, boom, bam. You get a raffle ticket. And again, like Gary, spent $5 on the chat. He has one raffle ticket and $2 left over. When he spends another dollar anywhere in the next through the 31st, you'll get another raffle ticket to the contest. So I keep track of that behind the scenes, and I try to make the raffle as affordable as possible so all of you in the audience have a chance to win something. And hopefully you guys throw $3 in once a month and have a chance. And here are our raffle prizes for this month. I'll show them to you. All right, here you go. This is one of my favorites here, okay? This is a 24-ounce New York Jets tumbler, okay? It's got every logo the Jets have ever had in their history on here. We got old school logos, New York Titans. It's cool. Personally, I want to keep this. I don't want to give this to any of you people. I love this tumbler. This looks cool. I would drink out of this every day, but I'm giving it to the people because I'm a man of the people. So that is one of the prizes. One of the prizes in the raffle for this month. Here's another one. This is an old school New York Jets training camp hoodie. It's got like the New York Jets logo on the side too, on the sleeve. Very nice. That's in the raffle. You've got this. This is old school. I don't know if any of you guys are going to remember these shirts. Sam Darnold with the USA flag. Thank you, Giants, because the Giants passed on him for Saquon Barkley. So we have that long sleeve thrown into the mix. The long sleeve, the hoodie, the 24-ounce tumbler cup. Again, to win all those prizes, all of them are a package. We'll be giving that away on April 1st and then announcing our next giveaway immediately for what you guys can compete with. And we got some. I don't have the box anymore because my daughter wanted to destroy it. But there was a box here that had a lot of the items that are in next month's raffle. And now they're sort of splayed all over the place in a case that I keep everything in. So, again, make sure you guys jump into the deep end, baby. Okay, we're going to be going back to the phone lines here in just a second. I see we have a super chat shout out. Let me get to that. Macho Talk Sports. He's been a member for 3 months on the channel. Appreciate you, pal.
Wow.
In my opinion, Jeremiah Love, the Notre Dame running back at 2, is a no. The upgrade between him and Hall isn't big enough to take the shot. Arvell Reese will be a huge upgrade over our current outside linebacker's edge. That's a very interesting way to put it, Macho, and I will say this. So let me answer the back half of your thing first, or just like, because it's a statement from you, but I agree with it. Arvell Reese, of course, would be a huge upgrade over, hopefully, pass rush-wise, he could deliver the sack production that Will McDonald had. He has like 18 and a half sacks of the last 2 years. So hopefully he has that kind of production. That'd be spectacular. But he's got more complete player. That part I love. And yes, I agree. It would be an upgrade over Joseph Asai, Kingsley Enagbare, Will McDonald. So yes, I agree. If you're looking at, hey, this draft pick to this, okay, sure, you can say that. Now, going to running back, I think there is a multifaceted approach here you have to evaluate. Now, you can still have your opinion that you wouldn't want Jeremiah Love at 2, and that's fine. I would imagine that's the prevailing opinion on social media, that Jet fans would think it's crazy if they take Jeremiah Love. I know there's very few on the bandwagon. Hep, Lou B, me, Sharon. There's a few Notre Dame Golden Domers out there. They're like, this guy's a real deal. But I would understand that the prevailing opinion is that's crazy. But I would say this on the upgrade between him and Brees. Again, there is a world where you draft Jeremiah Love and keep Brees Hall. But again, that I'm admitting that would be reckless. That would be an interesting use of resources if you chose to do that. So that may be perceived a certain way. So you can keep them together, Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, have that combo. Remember, the Jets were going to do this in 2023, excuse me, all my years are messed up. The Jets were going to take Jahmyr Gibbs if he was on the board, and then they would have paired Jahmyr Gibbs and Brees Hall together. That was going to happen. Now, different regime than they have now, but they thought they were going to do that. So fascinating. Now we fast forward many years later. Brees Hall's on the franchise tag, so money element is involved here with taking a running back potentially number 2 overall. And you say, hey, if you grab Love and then tag and trade Brees, possible within the realm of possibilities. That could be a path to potentially doing it. Again, my gut tells me if the draft was right now, they'd take Arvell Reese. But I think it's an interesting conversation. Let's go to the phone lines. Mr. Legendary Famous Fulton joins us here on the program. Hello, sir.
Morning, Paul.
Hey, you sound like you got a pep in your step.
Yeah, I'm feeling better.
Oh, good. Thank goodness. I'm glad. Yeah, because remember, we still have this, so hang on tight, Mr. Famous Fulton.
All right.
Do we have this here? Do I still have this? Where did I put it? Okay, I must have put it in a different place. I'm going to have to go back and see where that is. But we still have. Oh, I remember where it is now. Wait a second. I know I've got it. I got it in here. It was in a side cart. Yeah, yes, I had to. It's almost like you start putting things aside, and you're like, where did I put it? Remember, we have this, Mr. Famous Fulton. Booyah! We have Mr. Famous Fulton and his medals. Oh yeah, baby, we've got this. Yeah, now we're cooking here. Look at that's a swagged out, blinged out Mr. Famous Fulton, baby.
Yep, it sure is.
Look at all
And
this. Pretty cool.
I didn't tell you this, Paul, but today is my girl Tracy's 66th birthday today.
It's whose birthday?
My grandma Tracy's.
Oh, grandma. Oh, your grandma.
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday. How old is she now?
66 today.
All right. Well, happy birthday, Gam. That's amazing. Amazing news. Happy birthday. That's awesome. What are you guys doing to celebrate?
Well, she's got to go take me to the day program today, and then she's got to go to the BMV today.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's got to go to work today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice. Well, wow, that's very nice that you celebrate that for her. I'm sure she's really appreciative.
Yes. Yeah. My grandma is she's one of the best. So she helps me feel better and everything. So
Oh, that's awesome. So let me see. What do I got for Gam here? Let me see. What's something we can do for her? Let's see if it's here we go. And here's a little bit more for Grandma.
Kevin James. I just got 3 things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Shout out to Grandma.
Yep.
Nice. What else is on your docket today, Mr. Famous Fulton?
Well, I got my training for life tonight, and then tomorrow I have to go to my rehearsal tomorrow night.
For what?
For adding the musical.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm ready. Let me try to think. Okay, here it is.
Okay.
Your mask announcer, Jimmy Johnson, your mask announcer. Can't remember the other scene, so I've got to practice on that.
Practice. Just got to practice, buddy. You've got it. You got it, buddy. You just got to keep practicing. All right.
Yep, but I'm not doing the dance this year. No, I can't because I'm not good at dancing anymore. I had that.
What?
Well, I had that bike accident last summer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I cannot dance no more.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, man.
That's okay. I'll try to make it. Hopefully, if I can.
Okay. Well, just make sure you keep practicing, Mr. Famous Fulton, and we're always going to be here for you.
I appreciate it, Paul. Have a good one.
All right. You too, pal. There he is, Mr. Famous Fulton, joining us here on the program. Yeah, I will be honest. I definitely thought I misheard Mr. Famous Fulton. So Troy Sturgis comments in, says, I thought he said his girl's birthday at 66. Thought man Fulton bounced back with the older ladies. Yeah, I'm going to be candid. When he said, hey, did you know it's my blah, blah, blah birthday at 66? And I went, wait, what did you just say? Did you? Because in my head, I heard the same thing you heard, Troy. I thought he said my girl's birthday at 66. I'm like, ah, damn. Mr. Famous Fulton with the quick bounce back. Oh, a little Euro step right to the cup. Like, I was like, all right, Mr. Famous Fulton. All right. Okay. All right. We see you, Mr. Famous Fulton. We see you. A little bit. Yeah.
Secret tickle time? You have a name for it?
Okay. I thought so. I was like, okay, maybe I, didn't mishear, or maybe I did. Yeah. So shout out, salute to Mr. Famous Fulton.
It's Jets, Jets. I love Fireman Ed too.
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard at first. I was like, wow, okay. Cheers. Tip of the cap, man. Tip of the cap. For sure. Beautiful. Yeah, that was that caught me off guard, but that's what it's all about. So, God bless, for sure. Let's get some more love. Hep's here on the show. Hep.
I come in, Lou B put out the bat signal. He wants me to come in for the Jeremiah love.
100%, 100%. We need it right now. There's a lot of people, throwing some disrespect out there in the streets.
Yeah. So this is my plan. We trade back to the Giants.
Okay.
We recoup our 3.
Okay.
We get love, and we also trade Hall for Thibodeau.
Ooh.
Then we have, then we've addressed a bit of our defensive woes up on the front there. And after we do that, we get Jeremiah Love at what are they picking, 5?
Yeah.
Right. So, and then you could do what you said before at 16, either trade up and probably get Sonny Styles or one of those other guys, or one of the receivers.
Yeah, maybe.
And yeah, and at 30, would that be 44 you would trade for that?
Yeah, I would trade for. So I think you could package 44 and 16 and get up to 7. And I think Washington's like, sweet, we didn't have a second. And maybe they sort of feel the same way. So, like we're going from potentially 2 to 5. Well, all we want is a 3. Hey man, we're cool. We're not overcharging. We're just taking this. Washington, they're like, you know what? We're not overcharging. We'll just take that second. Thank you very much. And I think that could all work out.
Wow, that would be nice. Well, the nice little haul. I don't even know. At 33, I take I don't know, maybe Boston or whatever.
Could be,
whatever.
Yeah, right. You could stick and pick and take your receiver. You could trade back from 33 and pick up some assets to make up whatever you lost. So you could do that. I don't know. Do you, again, for the Ty Simpson folks in the audience, do you take him at 33? You're like, holy crap! Wow. All right.
If
you
he's
take
there,
a shot. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, the problem with the draft is it's like cards. When you're at a card table, you don't get to choose what cards come your way.
Definitely not.
And we were in a rebuild, so we're 2 or 3 years away from really making a solid push at the championship is where we want to go. And so with that, and so if it's that big of a plan, if this is where it comes to you got to figure it out. You can't say, well, right now it's not responsible for us. Well, right now we're not really doing anything. So what does that even matter? It's like, why is it okay for the Giants or the Titans to take Love at 5 or at 7 or at 6 and then not us? I understand. So if we were able to trade back a little bit and get that 3, which is really that's really a thorn in my foot, man, not having that number 3, especially where it came with Reddick. What's his name? Hassan Reddick.
Oh yeah, the fact that we don't have a 3 at all, I'm sure it pisses a lot of people off. The reason we don't have this 3 pisses off even more people. The thing I feel good, like again, would I love a 3rd? Of course, I would love a 3rd. The thing I feel good about is we have more picks in the top insert of the draft than most people have. So, right, we have 4 picks in the top 44.
Sure.
If we're just talking about normal situation, normal stand, right? In the first 3 rounds, the team has 3 picks if they didn't trade anything. The Jets have 4 inside the top 44. So that's the only saving grace. Like, again, I would love a 3, and I think there's manipulation you could do to get your 3 back. You know, I want my picks back. I want my 3 back by moving around. I think that could happen, but I feel comfortable if they don't, and Muji decides not to. I think they are going to move around. But if they don't, I'm like, cool. You know what? We still got 4 of the top 44. Like, you know.
Right. All right. That's all I got for today, guys. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the love for love. Very nice. And Macho, excuse my Guatemalan, but fuck you, Hassan Reddick. There you go. Yeah, Hassan Reddick. Yikes. That will be forever an error, won't it? Yikes. Absolutely god-awful. Guys, make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. Back to the phone lines. C joins us now. C?
Hey, Boy Green, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, listen, I got a funny feeling that Moogie is going to shock the shit out of us in this draft. I really do. I mean, you know, we're all saying Arvell Reese, and that might be the case, but I got a funny feeling he just seems like he's got something up his sleeve. You know, a trade back somewhere. I just have this feeling that he is gonna.
Not every draft is the same, but like last year, the obvious pick that everyone kept saying is Armand Membu. And I'm like, damn, are the Jets just going to do what everyone's saying, or are they going to surprise us? And last year they just went, no, Armand Membu. And I went, oh, okay. So it was what we all expected for months. I'm curious if that happens again. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Had a bad weekend.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah. The backs went out so bad.
Oh, geez.
Friday. I couldn't move and couldn't get to the car to go to the emergency room. So I had to go in an ambulance.
Oh, God.
And got to the ambulance and, you know, got to the hospital, and they just pumped me up with a lot of drugs.
Uh-huh.
And I can't get an appointment with an orthopedic guy till the 30th of April.
Jesus.
So I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous.
How are you right now?
Terrible.
Damn, man.
I'm on prednisone. I'm on muscle relaxers. I'm on some nerve medicine.
Damn.
It's just terrible. But I'm trying to get my mind off it, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, I got this funny feeling that that Moogie's got something up his sleeve, and I don't even know if it might be trading down from number 2.
Right.
But I just think he's going to be doing all these visits this week. I just got a feeling we're going to be shocked at the draft. That's just my feeling.
I love surprises. So, yeah, I'm going to be there. There's nothing more than I would enjoy than some crazy ass, like, oh my God, can you believe they did that? Like, that would be really cool. So I hope we get that.
Yeah.
Moment. That'd be wonderful.
All right. Well, that's all I got to say today. Thank you.
Okay. All right. There he is, C, joining us. Well, again, C, our thoughts are with you. I have dealt with nothing that you have dealt with, but I can just tell you a couple of years ago, I dealt with the back thing for the first time in my life. I had always just walking through life, no back problems. And I had a back issue, and that is the most debilitating thing in the world. I mean, you know better than anybody, but for people that don't know, never had a back problem, it's just, yeah, there's this helpless feeling with the back. Like there's just nothing you could do. It's just so powerless. You feel so powerless. It's just, So my thoughts are with, see, it sucks that, you know, you got to sit around on this for a month and have whatever temporary solutions they have. I hope you feel better, man. I appreciate you calling in. I'm sorry, man. That's terrible. Hopefully this show can distract you a little bit from it. That's what I hope this show can do for everyone out there in the audience, is whatever you got going on in your life, whether a physical thing, a spiritual thing, a mental thing, that this can take you away. We can have a good laugh and have some good conversation. So get well soon, please. See, appreciate that, man, out there in the audience All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up the show. We have 500 people in the room. Again, folks, like that video. It's a free way to contribute to the program. I want to give a shout out to everyone that gifted. MFC gifted a membership. NC Green Super Chat. NC Green Super Chat. Johnny Boy Super Chat. Hep with his 12-month shout out. Happy anniversary, Hep. Lou B, Super Jets fan with a Super Chat. NC Green with his 2-year anniversary. Appreciate that, NC Green. Gifting 5 memberships. DNY for life with a Super Chat. Our boy Gary Fuller's back with a Super Chat. Appreciate it. And Macho Talk Sports, one of the rising Jets content creators and just content creators in general. Terrific for interacting here on the show. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. We will see you again soon. I will be live at 11 o'clock. Oh, look at that Macho. Okay, taking it to the cup with a gifted Boy Green Coffee Club membership. Hit it. Let's add that to the total for our boy Macho. And again, one last plug. I suppose I will do that here because this is a good reminder for Macho, who is also a member of our Boy Green Espresso Club, which we really appreciate. So let me put this down for Macho Talk Sports. That is a raffle ticket for our contest. Let me see this. Where'd that membership go to? That went to Dunk Lloyd, who I saw in our audience. You just got gifted a Boy Green Coffee Club membership. Shout out there as well. The thing I want to throw up here is the gift that keeps on giving, Clark. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Bacho, for doing that. Beautiful. And here it is, folks. We have 2 YouTube membership groups. If you want to support this channel at another level, we have $2.99 the Boy Green Coffee Club and $5.99 the Boy Green Espresso Club. The Coffee Club, and you do this $2.99 a month for the Coffee Club. You get a loyalty badge next to your name. You get access to all our custom emojis from our friends over at Jets Worldwide. They make them all. Sometimes collars get immortalized. Sometimes it's just we've got an emoji, baby. Early access new videos. We're going to be having a brand new intro coming soon. We're going to have some big time guests joining us, and you guys will get access to those before the general public. Member shout outs and priority replies to comments. Boy Green Espresso Club, which Macho is a part of. You guys can join. If you're watching on YouTube right now, there's a big button that says join. Click that, and these 2 levels appear to your left. You can click the Coffee Club or the Espresso Club. I suggest you hit up the Espresso Club. Here's why. Okay, so you get all the perks of the Coffee Club at the Espresso Club level, which is $5.99. You get members-only shorts, so exclusive content just for you that the rest of the audience doesn't get to see. The public doesn't get to see it. And, of course, the Coffee Club doesn't get to see it. And there's members-only live shows. We're going to have ours. It's likely going to be this weekend. We'll keep you guys posted on it. It should be the 20 – it might be the 29th on Sunday because my baseball schedule starts. More on that later. But it looks like our Espresso Club will be on Sunday night on March 29th. We'll keep you guys posted once that's official, but it looks like that'll be it. At the end of every month, we do a special live show for you Espresso Club members out in the audience. And the last 2 have gone over 4 hours. Sometimes there's a topic, sometimes there's not. We just sort of go to town from the beginning. It could be about life, career, anything you guys want to talk about. The Espresso Club is amorphous. We talk about the things that you guys are interested in, but I will give you guys all the juicy details on Elijah Vera Tucker reaching out to me. Yes, AVT. So I wrote an article after AVT joined the Patriots, and AVT, the real AVT, reached out to me. We had a 5-minute conversation back and forth. I'm going to spill all the juice on that interaction from that conversation, and then we could talk about a bunch of other stuff. If you join the Boy Green Espresso Club, this is the perk. This is why I brought this up with Macho's gifted membership. If you are an Espresso Club member, okay, you get 5 raffle tickets to our contest. Again, I told you that raffle prize. We do a raffle contest every single month. If you're an Espresso Club member, you get 5 raffle tickets for the current contest. So if you join the Espresso Club, hit that join button right now on YouTube and join the Espresso Club. You get 5 raffle tickets on top of all the other perks. So you'll have a chance to win our fabulous prizes. As long as you remain an Espresso Club member, you will get 5 raffle tickets for life. Every single raffle, every single month, you will be in the running for and have a chance to win if you're an Espresso Club member. Why is that significant? Raffle tickets are $3 a piece. 5 raffle tickets is a $15 value. The Espresso Club is only $6 a month. So you're paying 1/18 of what the raffle is worth every month. And then you get a chance to win all these prizes. So I think I have the best deal in all of YouTube land at the $2.99 level, at the $5.99 level. You guys get so much bang for your buck. So Macho, all of that gets added at the end, by the way. if you guys are an Espresso Club member and you see the scrolling ticker, those raffle tickets get added right at the end of the month, and you guys can choose to do what you want with those Espresso Club tickets. So amazing, and I love that. Macho saying Espresso Club venting sessions once a month, worth every penny. I appreciate you saying that, Macho. They're a lot of fun, and we get even more familiar with each other. You know, on a show like this with Drew Beatty, I'm talking about a million wide receivers. Oh, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and I'm trying to get some of your guys' questions in the middle of all the content. But on the Espresso Club, the pace changes. We talk about, again, what you guys want to talk about, and that can go in a lot of different directions. And quite frankly, it has. We've had 2 of these so far. We created this Espresso Club membership level on Monday, and it's pretty crazy. QK Jet fan says, how much for the not safe for work content, BG? It's $5.99 a month. I will tell you, QK Jet fan, so that's a good pitch for you to join and others. We let it fly. You could drink on that show if you want. You could call into that show. You can hang out in the comments, so we'll try to interact with those. Swearing. I mean, there's a lot of, we go off the reservation. There's just no other way to put it. Behind a paywall. It's a much safer place to be able to do that. So it is, Macho Talk Sports. He says 1,000%, 1,000,000% not safe for work at all. Absolutely not. So please do not watch that at your job. It's normally late at night, so hopefully you're not working anyway. But yes, we get hairy. There's just no other way to put it. So again, folks, feel free to join the club. I'd appreciate it. It's a great Jets community. I'm very appreciative of that community we have out there in the audience. So again, the free thing you can do for me on the way out is, again, hit that like button and also hit subscribe, baby, as we try to get closer and closer to 10,000 subs. We just surpassed this past week over 8,500, which is pretty cool. But the more the merrier, baby. The more the merrier. Let's go. And yes, as Havmo says, good to see you in here, Havmo. 30 days and counting down. Go Mooj. We are officially a month away from the 2026 NFL Draft first round. A quick plug. I will be at the draft. We'll be at the McFadden's bar in Pittsburgh, partying it up with Jake. I will be giving you guys exclusive live content from the draft, reactions to picks, moments and things that happen at the draft. So subscribe to the channel for that. We'll have live content. We'll be at the draft for the first time in my life. I'm a huge draft fan, and we'll have live content for that as well for all of our Coffee Club members, Espresso Club members, and wonderful subscribers, baby. So let's freaking go. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you. Take care.